By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to lose 5 pounds of body fat within the next 7 days. And the best part about it, you won't have to do a single workout. I will provide you with 5 of my best diet hacks to burn body fat quickly. Now, every hack that I will provide you today, I have personally used myself and got below 10% body fat on multiple occasions. Now, the first thing that we need to do though is get ourselves into a calorie deficit. Without a calorie deficit, none of these hacks will work. A calorie deficit is easy to set. I will drop a calculator in my show notes where you can find out your own personal calorie deficit. So once you've calculated your own personal calorie deficit, I would recommend getting into a 50% deficit. Now, this is extreme, but it will yield the best results in the shortest space possible. So, for example, let's say you work out that your total daily calorie maintenance for yourself would be 3,000 per day. Then, to go into a 50% deficit, you need to slash 1,500 calories off your maintenance. Now, this is a big deficit and should only be done with caution. However, it can yield the best results. So, if you are desperate to burn body fat quickly, then a 50% deficit in 7 days can be achieved. Now, would that mean that you stay within 50% for the foreseeable future? Well, that depends. Number one, on how much body fat you actually have on you. If you're in the high range, 40-50% body fat with low muscle, then you may be able to get away with a 50% deficit. However, if you are within a lower body fat range, let's say 25 or 30%, so not extreme but still high, then you may set just 50% for the first week, maybe the first 6 weeks, and then the deficit may need to reduce to 30%. But it all depends on you as a person. You may be able to handle the deficit for long periods of time. Now let's get into the first hack, and that is intermittent fasting. Now you can do that from today. Intermittent fasting, I would recommend 16 to 8 fast. 16 fast hours of not eating anything. No food at all. Drinking water is fine, but no food at all. No meals, no snacks, nothing. Now, I would recommend you do your fast like this. You have your last meal at night time. That would be 8 or 9 o'clock, for example. If it's earlier, then so be it. But if it is in around between 7 and 9, perfect. So from there, you will then not eat a thing for 16 whole hours. So if you have your last meal at 8 p.m. at night, you will then sleep and then get up in the morning and not eat anything. So if you're one to get up in the morning and have a snack, whatever it is, on the way to work or some breakfast, then don't do that. This will break your fast. You have to intermittent fast for a minimum of 16 hours. You can only eat within an 8-hour window. Now, you'll go beyond 8 o'clock. You'll do another 4 hours, and then you're ready to eat. So that will be 12 o'clock before you can eat something. Now, the best part about a fast, though, is within your window of eating, so 12 or 8, that's your window time, you can eat all of your calories within that window. So let's say your calories are 1,500, hypothetically. You've worked out your deficit. You've slashed off 1,500 from your maintenance, 3,000 to 1,500. You're now into 50% deficit. You can eat 1,500 calories per day. Now, you can eat all of those calories within that 8-hour window. That's the best part about a fast. So from 12 o'clock onwards, when you break your fast, you can then eat all of your 1,500 calories till 8 p.m. Now, that's the best part about a fast is you won't eat anything in that 16-hour window, but when you do break your fast, you can eat all of your food. So once you've got your fast locked in, you will then Keep that up for 7 whole days. And I can assure you that, number one, your body will begin to break down fat at an alarming rate because there's no fuel available during the periods that you're not eating. And that's the best part about intermittent fast is you're pushing your body to burn fat as a fuel source because it needs energy to power you through sleep. Your mid-morning, you will need energy, and that's got to come from somewhere. And it's not from the food that you eat because you're not eating. So your body has to break down fat, and that's what it does. And that's how you will start to burn body fat as a fuel source when you intermittent fast. So start that from today. After you finish watching this video, start your intermittent fast. You can do this now and start burning body fat quickly. Now, hack number 2. Now, this is a tough one. And this is a low-carb boot camp. Now, a low-carb boot camp means you go practically on the board of 0 carbs for at least 7 days minimum. This is a boot camp phase where for 7 whole days, you cannot eat any carbs. Only exception here to the rule, and that is carbs from vegetables. So your greens, broccoli, etc. They're the only carbs that you can eat. Carbs from refined carbs like breads, pastas, and carbs from whole food carbs such as rice, potatoes, you can't eat those in a low-carb boot camp. They're totally out of bounds. You also can't eat fruit in a low-carb boot camp. All carbs are off. So you've got to look at all the foods that you eat normally, and if it's a lot of carbs, you may find this one pretty hard. It's probably the most challenging time that you will face within this 7 days is completely cutting out your carbs. But here's the benefits of this. Your blood sugar will be regulated better by having lower carbs, which means it's not going to be spiking like it used to do. Particularly if that's what was happening before when you was eating whatever what you wanted with no exception to the rule. And you may have been eating a ton of carbs, which is commonly what I see. So a low-carb boot camp will teach you that you can't have your carbs whenever you want. You can't have quick convenience carbs, such as breads. I'll just make a sandwich. Or if you're going to work, you'll have some cereal or porridge. You can't do that when you're in a low-carb boot camp. Now again, what does that do? Just mentioned it regulates your blood sugar, stops it spiking. But what it's also going to do, it's going to clear up a lot of water that is stored within your body, particularly around the belly area. Because carbs hold 90% water when you have your carbs. 1 gram of carbs holds 90% water. Now, that means that if you are eating a lot of carbs, you will be taking on a lot of extra water. So you'll have a lot of extra water around your midsection, possibly. Now, low carbs will clear that water up. So instantly, you'll start seeing your shape improve. You'll look in the mirror in 7 days, and you will start to feel a little bit more toned and firm and not as jiggly because the water is being flushed out by going very low carbs and just going vegetables. Now, I can assure you, if you pull this one off, you will be very successful. But it's a challenging one, but it is a rewarding one too. Hack number 3. This is one of my favorites. Extremely high protein. Extremely high protein is probably one of the best fat loss hacks out there. Because protein foods such as egg whites, lean chicken breast, turkey breast, lean sausages, they're all low in calories in general. Protein per gram has only 4 calories. So if you're eating extremely high protein, which is one of the best hacks to burn off fat quickly, you will generally lower your calories and be able to hit your 1,500 target. Also, the best part about protein is this. It's the best for satiety. You'll be naturally more full than if you weren't. If your protein's low, or moderate, you will naturally want more food. It's very difficult to stay within a calorie deficit of 50% if your protein's low. It'd be almost impossible for you. For example, about 12 years ago when I did one of the best photo shoots I've ever done, I went extremely low carbs and extremely high protein. And you'll see from this image that I'll show you, I was shredded to the bone. I read at 8% body fat when I got measured. It's extreme, but I was able to do it through the hacks that I'm teaching you right now. And this wasn't from doing more exercise. I didn't go and do a run every day or do tons of cardio. I didn't train 5 or 6 days a week. I trained 4 days a week. I didn't have to do extremely high amounts of fitness work to be able to make that happen. I mainly got in that shape through diet hacks that I'm teaching you right now. If you don't have tons of protein resources in your cupboards and fridges right now, don't panic. You can follow this rule from tomorrow. You can eat more egg whites, increase your Greek yogurts, have protein powder if you're not having it already, switch from beef to turkey mince, switch from chicken thighs to chicken breast. And there's so many other swaps that you can do. But extremely high protein is very important for keeping you fuller for longer. And if you do that, you won't be able to follow your fasting protocol much easier without getting hungry. Number 2, you'll feel just generally more satisfied with your meals because you'll just feel like your meals are filling you up. And number 3, you will see the fat loss just melt away. Now, hack number 4. Now, this will also be a challenging hack. They all will be challenging, but this will be quite challenging. And that is low fat. Protein has 4 calories per gram, whereas fat has 9 calories per gram. So if you eat, for example, 100 grams of steak versus 100 grams of chicken breast, your calories are going to be 2 or 3 times more just in that piece of steak versus if you had chicken. Now, the protein is going to be the same. 100 grams of chicken versus 100 grams of steak is going to be the same, about 40 grams of protein. Whereas the fat is going to be 5 times more. You might get 25 grams of fat in the steak versus 0 grams of fat in the chicken breast. So my advice is to swap out all the foods that you would have normally that are high fat, particularly the red meats. So swap out your, which I mentioned before, beef mince for turkey mince, steak for chicken. Cut back on your whole eggs and have egg whites instead. If you eat peanut butter, swap that for something different that is more protein based, like some Greek yogurt or a protein shake. Now, low fat can help you lower your calories significantly. Also as well, you will have to be aware that fat is hidden in many foods. So when you're planning this week's shopping, reduce the fat intake significantly. This also goes for how you prepare your food. So if you're one to always fry your food, this will may be difficult, but it can be achieved. So instead of frying your food with natural olive oil, you would bake your food instead, or put your food into the air fryer if you have one. And also other fats that you may be consuming at the moment. If you want to eat cheese, swap out your cheese for something different, like a vegetable instead, or don't have it at all. These sacrifices, I can assure you, if you pull them off, they will help you burn off body fat quickly. And I'm going for at least 5 pounds in the next 7 days. That can be achieved if you pull this off. You can also track your food as well, by the way. You can download apps, MyFitnessPal, NutriCheck. This will really help you, by the way, track your food, because you can do it intuitively without tracking, but it would be helpful if you can start tracking your food. Because if you're not sure and confident on your macronutrients, which I'm talking about now, so your protein, your carbs, your fats, you will need to have some more support. So food apps can really help you. Download them and start inputting the food that you're eating. Just basically take the foods that you would normally eat over the next couple of days, if you've got them planned out, and just put them into the app. And it'll tell you what the proportion of macronutrients are. It'll tell you how much fat is within that meal and calories, etc. And that will be really helpful. So if you can start tracking your food, I would highly recommend it. If you can't though, and you don't want to, let's say you've tracked before and you don't find it beneficial or it's monotonous, then that's fine. But you can eyeball food and use an intuitive plate. So you can look at your plate, particularly if you know a little bit about nutrition. If you know the basics of what foods contain protein or what foods, carbohydrates, sugar, fats, etc. You get my gist. But if you do know all that, then you don't need to track. Then just follow these hacks. Hack 5, and this one is probably the easiest one to follow. Depends though. And this is high volume foods. Now, if you're one to not eat high volume foods, then this can be a really beneficial hack for you. Because high volume foods can really fill you up without adding the extra calories. So if you look at a plate of food, if you've got high volume foods, plenty of green vegetables, for example, they're going to be low in calories, high in fiber, and they're just going to fill you up without feeling like you need more. That's the beauty of high volume foods. So you can follow this hack from today. If you've got plenty of vegetables in your fridge, freezer, but you're not used to eating them, just start bulking out your plate with more vegetables. Now again, this is perfectly fine within low carbs because high amount of vegetables is fine. They don't hold a lot of calories, so it works with the low carb hack and the low carb bootcamp. So high volume foods, bulk out all of your meals. Starting off when you break your fast at 12 o'clock, have a lot of vegetables with all of your meals. You will find that you're just fuller for longer, and you'll just find that you'll probably stop eating sooner rather than wanting more food after you've eaten. And you just feel way more satisfied with high volume foods versus if you didn't have high volume foods, if your plate was just pretty skinny. So there you have some of my best advice on what I do if I wanted to burn 5 pounds of flab in the next 7 days and go on to continue to keep losing fat. So that wouldn't be your end. This is just giving you a good start. So I hope you found this video helpful. Stay tuned for my next one, which will be focused on this similar topic, helping you burn fat in the shortest possible time frame. Now, I wish you all the best of luck with this fat loss journey. Hope it all works out for you, and have a great day. Bye for now.